I stood up and rubbed my chest. It's like, bro, you're going to prophesy. So I was like, I'm at the what? I'm going to prophesy. What? I tell the future? I was so ignorant. I had no clue what it meant. I had to wear a certain amount of clothes, like my
certain amount of clothes. At this church, you have to wear clothes.
What just happened? Oh, I see.
Today, got my friend Josh Wertmiller here. Matt Laser, say hi to Josh.
What up, Josh?
It's like an elementary school class.
Hi, Josh.
So, real quick, little backstory before we get into any of this. Josh and I connected a while ago now, maybe about a year ago. I don't know, maybe not quite a year.
Close to it.
So you guys know me and Carrie absolutely love Jesus, and we absolutely love One Wheels.
And youth.
And youth. And we met this dude one time that was like, yo, I have this friend who's also passionate about One Wheels and Jesus. And I was like, well, that sounds crazy because I don't know any other people like that. So he introduced us to Josh. And then the first time that we met, we actually met in person at the James River Men's Conference. That was the first time, which was controversial in and of itself.
Wow.
And then after that, you know, me and my wife, my family, we've been going through some crazy stuff. You guys have been quite the encouragement to. You guys have had some stuff going on that we've gotten to talk to you about. And I guess my point is that even though we haven't spent much time together, we've spent time together in pretty weird, intense processing environments, and then also just playing on One Wheels.
Like that fun.
Yeah, so that's why I like this dude. But yeah, first, man, I would love for you to just share, especially just with these guys, because they don't know you that well, just a bit of like your heart first and foremost for whether it's playing in the One Wheel side or you know, the Jesus side or just whatever. I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg.
Sure. Yeah, grew up in the church. When I was young, I kind of really didn't like the church at all. I kind of saw the underbelly of the church, religion, and kind of going through the motions. I had to wear a certain amount of clothes, a certain
amount of clothes. At this church, you have to wear clothes.
I had to play a game. I was religious performance, I guess, and so I had to like show up and talk the talk and do the thing, and kind of was like angry at it. So I'd come in like bumping corn in the parking lot and like this is as loud as I could. As much as I could. And I'd come in with jeans. I was very rebellious. To the church, and then I'd bring people in that our church. It was difficult because I brought people in that wasn't accepted, and they didn't accept them and said they're going to leave the church because I was bringing them to the church. I really despised the church for a long time.
Bringing people to the church who they thought like didn't belong.
Gotcha. Don't bring them to our church.
That doesn't sound like church,
bro. I was so confused, and it wasn't a culture that my family created or anything. My dad was actually the pastor. It was just this very religious, like stuck up type of place where you walk in, you're not look like them, then it's automatically you feel pushed aside.
Yeah. And wait, real quick, just because I never heard this part of the story. So, your dad was the pastor. Did you ever feel that from him? Like, did he see you as like the black sheep of the church wearing jeans?
Not at all. My dad was super chill, phenomenal. We lived in inner city Denver, and then I moved around to a bunch of places, and my dad would go to like the darkest, roughest neighborhoods and grab the kids that are in the worst shape to bring them to church. It was awesome. And so that was Pops. And so it wasn't a culture created. There was just some things that was just hurting the church.
Yeah.
And my dad dealt with it, and we ended up taking buses. They're like, oh, you don't want to bring them? We're going to take a bus into the ghetto of where we were. And we did, and it was awesome. So, but all that to say, the people of the church, I really began to, no other word, but begin to hate.
Yeah.
Very unhealthily.
Yeah.
And it put a church hurt in me.
Yeah.
And I swore I would never be a pastor. I swore I would never step into ministry.
Oh, God normally does stuff.
Never.
I'm never going to be a pastor, Jesus.
Never. And I met my wife, and she's a missionary's kid, and I'm a preacher's kid. So we're like, no ministry. 100%. We're on the same page. I promise you I'll never be in any form of ministry. And so long story shorter, she prayed for me for 6-7 years.
Your wife?
Yeah.
Well, you guys were married at this point.
Yeah.
Right. So she was a Christian.
Right.
You were not.
No, well, I was a Christian. I got saved. Like the typical get saved at every church camp. Go down different times. I was like, man,
All
every
the
time.
baptisms.
Oh man, it was like I'm going back down every time.
So wait, so I have a question too. So when you say church hurt, just because, is this a thing where you still differentiated the people of the church and God, or were you angry at God?
No.
As well.
I didn't break them apart. It was all one and the same. I was blinded to that, and it was just I'm not sure how it got so twisted because my parents did an amazing job explaining to me what the church is and the entity, and what religion is and relationship, and I just missed it. Just like spiffed.
Yeah.
And so with that, you would ask me. When I met my wife, she was like within a day. She told me she was going to marry me. She's the hottest girl I've ever met, and loves Jesus. And she's like, "You're going to lead my kids," and I'm like, what, "Can I sign? Can I sign now? Like now?" It was quick. And so anyway, she began to fast and pray for me because she kept saying, "Hey, I need you to be a spiritual leader." And I'm like, "Time out. What are you talking about? Spiritually, I am spiritually.
Yeah.
We go to church every Sunday. I mean, I don't cuss. I'm not looking at porn. I'm not getting drunk. Like, I listed all the things. Look at this religion that I follow.
This religious resume.
Yeah, I got it all, and I know how to talk, and I know how to present myself.
It is funny. That's like people's view of Christianity. Like, we had a friend one time who like got saved, and the way he explained it to us was like, "Guys, I was at church on Sunday. I gave my life to Jesus, just like you. And now I don't look at porn. I don't say cuss words. I don't do this. I don't flip people off when they cut me off in traffic. I don't do this." And he lists all the behavioral things that he doesn't do anymore.
Like, Chris, it's okay. It's okay if you still struggle with something.
Yeah.
Like, have you prayed today? Oh, I have to do that too.
Right.
Oh, bro, this is not just like behavioral fixings.
Right. Yeah. It was perplexing, and honestly, it got to the place that I was. Our marriage was in rough shape because it was like, "What do you? This is obnoxious." Like, I'm a good dude. Right?
Yeah.
I'm going through the motions. I'm at the church. I don't even cuss. We don't watch bad. Like everything, I checked it out.
Yeah.
And so anyway, she knew what was clear. She's always like so far ahead of me. Like the Spirit talks to her first, and then tells me at the last second. It's kind of how it's always worked. But anyway, 7 years in, man, she began to fast and pray for me with a group of people.
Wow, dude. And
there's a pretty crazy story that at the end of that, and I'll kind of condense it just for sake of time. But a person actually spoke in tongues at my church, and I'm like, demon
with jeans on.
What is that?
Were they wearing jeans too?
It was a lady from the street. Like she didn't even go there. She came in. We're praying.
Man,
she goes up and grabs the mic and she speaks in tongues. And I'm like, and the whole church is like frozen. And I'm ticked. I'm like, this is from the devil. I don't know what this is. And I was so ignorant to it. I've never been around it, but it burned something in me.
Wow, like you felt in there, like as offended as you might have been, there was like something stirring.
But I didn't realize it was stirring.
Right.
But you stirring.
Yeah. It was like shaking up your box.
Man, it got me good. And so then I went through and like the spiritual gifts and like trying to figure it out. And I dove deep into them. And I'm like, this is where she's wrong. And this is how she was out of order. Paul wrote it to the church. And I'm like scolding her, my finger out, the whole thing. And I didn't know that my wife was fasting this time. And then this group of men came to me. It's like, hey, we're going to have a men's retreat tonight. We need you to come. We're going to talk about leadership in the men's group. And we need you there. So I was like, all right, sweet, we'll go. So I go there, and they had a chair saved for me. I walk in the basement, and they put me in a corner, and they sit in kind of in front of me, like around me, like box me in. And I'm like, what's going on? And this guy walks in, and he was from like another state, and he was like, we're here to talk about the spiritual gifts. And he hands a piece of paper, and it's about all the gifts of the Spirit. I'm like, what is this? It's like a Holy Spirit intervention at the moment. And my dude said, I'm kind of an aggressive guy, and like I don't do well with people tippy-toeing. You got like punch me in the throat to get my attention.
Yeah. And
so I stood up, and my buddy was like, nah, you're sitting back down. I was like, what is going on? I don't want to be here. And so anyway, the guy was like, hey, stand up. I was like, all right. I stood up, and he rubbed my chest. He's like, bro, you're going to prophesy. So I was like, I'm at the what? I'm going to prophesy? What? I tell the future? I was so ignorant and no clue what it meant. Oh my God. And I'm like so mad. And so I'm like, I'm clenching my, he's like, you speak right now, speak. And I'm thinking like, you don't want to hear what I got to say. Like I want to rip your throat out. Like this is making me angry. So anyway, I was like, all right, I'll be respectful. I'll sit back down. And he starts going through the whole thing and talk about the validity of the gifts of the Spirit. It's in the Bible. And I'm thinking like, man, it's in there. I can't say that's from the devil.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'm ignorant to it. So anyway, he does that, and we're there till like 4 a.m, and they're praying over me, and a bunch of things going down. I'm like, God, listen, if you want me to, like, if there's more for me, dump the truck on me. Like, I'm ready. Yeah. I'll do whatever. Like this moment of like just breaking.
Yeah, wow.
And I was like, well, you just got to do something. So I'll never stop crying about it. I was very prideful. Anytime I felt the Spirit move, I'd cry. I was like, no way. I mean, that's why I'd never be a pastor. I'd run out of church if I felt emotion, like to the bathroom. Like, I got something in my eye.
Emotion doesn't
That's
happen
right.
here.
Men don't cry. And anyway, so I get down. I kind of had this moment of just being raw. I'm like, God, do something. And so 4 o'clock in the morning, I get home, and my wife is waiting at the door. I was like, what did you do? She's like, where have you been? I'm like, did you set this up? And she said, no. But just let you know, we've been fasting and praying for you, me and your mom and some other people. And I'm like, for what? Nothing's wrong. She's like, well, we've been fasting and praying that God would get a hold of you.
Wow.
She's like, well, your mom gave me a passage on Sunday. I think it was Saturday. And she's like, you would know, my wife would know when to give this passage to me. And it's like, it's time. And she hands me the passage. And it says, your sons and daughters will prophesy. It's like, there's that stupid word again, like prophesy. I'm mad. Now I'm like, my brain's challenged. I'm so frustrated trying to figure out what's going on. Everything's going a million miles an hour. I go to work at a very liberal company, and I get on my email, and my email had a message from a guy that I've spoken to once on a conference call with hundreds of people from all over the world, primarily like India and places where Christianity, and it's not a place that you can openly talk about your faith.
Right.
It's very liberal. And so and I open up the email, and it says, you are a mighty lion, and you're going to prophesy.
Wow.
And I was like, what the heck is that? Who is this guy? And I'm trying to
Wow, man, that's awesome.
look him up and try to figure out, is he connected to this dude in Oklahoma? Does he know my wife? And I was like, I don't know what to do with this. They keep telling me to tell the future. It's so dumb.
It's a church full of magicians.
Right, what is this?
It's probably a demon
Of course.
encouraging
That's
you.
right. Yeah, something. And so I get on the conference call with him and hundreds of other people, and he's like, hey, Josh, did you get my email? And I'm like, bro, we're going to do this now? Like, okay.
Wow.
And I was like, all right, if I get fired, I get fired. Why did you say that word? Why did you email me one? And then why did you say it was a mighty lion going to prophesy? And he's like, bro, I don't know what you believe, but I listen to whispers. I was like, who's whispers? Like, who whispered? He's like, well, I believe the Holy Spirit prompted me to tell you were going to prophesy.
Wow.
It's like, okay. And I'm just like trying to I'm a programmer. So like ones and zeros, binary, things have to make sense. And that's why the things of the Spirit, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't line up. So I was like, all right, well, I got to figure out what these whisper things is. And he challenged me, and I kind of go through the motions, and I call my dad, and I'm like, Dad, what is this? He starts laughing. He's like, you're dense. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, what do you think pastors do every single Sunday? I'm like, well, they preach. He's like, son, they prophesy. They disseminate God's word for today.
Wow.
It's called prophecy. It's not just the future. It's dissemination of God's word, God's will now.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? He's like, dude, they're saying you're going to be a pastor. I'm like, stop. No, they're not.
That's the word I'm avoiding.
Forget it.
I'm less offended by prophesy.
Wow.
Let's go back to future telling. 'cause
I like the crystal ball future thing. And so I'm just like, it's just like I've numerous times at this moment, God began to like bust me out of the box. And anytime I would like feel the Spirit moving, it would always be in a church setting. And if it was outside of it, it was like, oh, this is weird. I don't know what this is. And I would run from it. 'Cause I'm like, I'm not getting emotional here. Something's weird's happening. And so I get after that phone call, I'm like, pastor? No way. So I go out to a wood shop in the back, and I was like, all right, God, what's going on? Like, I'm out here. What do you want me to do? And I felt like such an idiot. I've been in church all my life, and I'm like, how does God speak? How does God speak? His word. Oh, his word. So I like pick up my phone, and I'm going through my Bible app, and I turn it on, and guess what it says? You will prophesy. I'm like, all right.
No,
I'm like, cool.
stop.
Got it. God, you're
What?
blowing my mind.
But
Okay,
these are all
I get it.
coincidences,
It's
by the way.
coincidence. And that's
These are all
what
just coincidences.
I did believe in coincidences. Still, all these happened.
Maybe it's a weird grip of coincidences that keep happening.
But then, like on the YouVersion app, when you touch something, it like highlights, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to get past the prophecy thing on my screen, and it freezes, and it highlights and starts flashing, and it says, okay, this is I'll cry. It gives me every time. Come to me, all you heavy burden, and I'll give you rest. And so it's like flashing. I'm like, get off my screen. And it just kept saying, come to me, all you heavy burden, I'll give you rest. I'm like, forget it. And I throw my phone. I'm like, I'm done, God. I don't know. I'm just so irritated. I felt weird because like I'm trying to hear from God.
Yeah.
My phone's crashing. It's like, gosh, this prophesy word. God, I don't want to be a pastor. Okay, so I go to church and this spirit hits me hard and I just fall down at the altar. My friends come around, one of the jack wagons that pushed me in the corner and wouldn't let me leave. And it's like, bro, I'm supposed to tell you to just do it. Do what? And he leaves. He said, do it. And so I'm down there just like having a conversation, very irritated and annoyed with what's going on because I can't figure out any of it. And God's like, hit me in the moment. It's like, you told me to blow your mind. It's like, huh? Yeah, you did. I mean, this is crazy, but what now?
Yeah.
Like seminary, what do I do? And that same dude comes back and he's like, do it. Oh, yeah, I'm going to punch this guy. I have no clue. Do what?
It's like with the excitement comes the frustration of like,
irritation. And I feel like I'm running around with my eyes closed and I'm supposed to be somewhere and I can't get there. And so I'm irritated and I don't know what I'm doing and I'm uncomfortable. I'm crying. Everyone's looking at me and praying for me and like, they have no clue what's going on. And I'm embarrassed and humiliated, all the fun things. And I open my eyes and right in front of me is a microphone. And I'm like, it hits me. It's like, I'm supposed to tell what's happening. It's like, no, I'm going to cry.
Oh.
It's like, no way. Can't. Oh, no. Oh, no. I can't do it. Anyway, so like, I jump up, I grab the mic, I'm much more controlled now. I can cry in front of anybody, but when I chickmunk, like when you get like that, you get real high. Bro, I don't care how masculine your beard is and how much of a man you think you are. When that happens, that's a pride hit.
Yeah.
So I get up, I can't say a word, and I'm just sobbing everywhere. And my pastor's looking. It's not an open mic type of church, and he's kind of looking at me like, "Yo, you good, man?" He's touching me on my back, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I gotta say something. And I kind of tell this story with much more, a lot less control and a lot more tears and snot. And I get done. He looks at me and says, "Come to me, all you heavy burden. I'll give you rest." It's done.
Wow.
Still trips me out to think about that, but that was that moment of like, the coincidences made sense. Could have, to an extent. But then it was like, man, there's no way. The night before, my phone throwing it out of irritation, and God just whispering to me like, yo, I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
If you listen. So anyway, that's when this crime mass started. But there was just this surrendering moment of like, all right, man, I won't ever put you in a box. You blew my mind. You told me I was going to be a pastor. Don't know what that looks like. I'll do seminary, whatever. And it was just, I began to like shift down. Oh, I skipped a part that led me to this. The guy that like told me I was going to prophesy, he came up to me. He was leaving that week. He was a speaker. And he said, and the quote, I'll never forget, he's like, God troubled your mind to reveal your heart.
Wow.
I was like, wow, that's exactly what happened. And that pushed me into this moment of like, I'll never let my ignorance to a topic, God especially, put him in a box ever again. So I'm going to live a life that's like, God, you say it, here's a whisper, I'm after it.
Yeah.
So it prepared me for what comes next with starting as a youth pastor. I started as a volunteer youth pastor, and all of a sudden it's like, I'm the games, any youth pastors, like you give me a space and a ball or a hockey stick or what, like it's like instant kids are having a blast and they're calling me their pastor and I've been with them for 5 seconds and I preached for the first time. I was like, okay, it's what did I just do? And it just, that night I laid down, my wife was like, yep, this is it. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, we're going into ministry. Yep. This is it. So that was the beginning of what happened.
That's awesome, man.
And then shortly after that, kicked off the craziness of Epoa.
Nice, dude. There's a couple things you said that I kind of want to touch on. And one of the things I think that's so interesting about this is probably where a lot of men can relate without realizing they're relating in the way of like, I don't really have much to learn. I'm already a leader. I'm a spiritual leader. I've been taking my family to church. I've been doing this stuff. And unfortunately, I think we see so few men actually leading their families because of that mentality, because of that mindset of what I believe in God. I go to church. What else is there? And you think of like all those days through the week where a lot of times there's a complacency, there's a disconnect even between husbands and wives, and then
Mhm.
between husbands and their kids.
Yeah.
And it's scary. We heard wait, did you tell us this? Who told us this? We were talking to somebody, and they were talking about when they look at children who have been physically abused
Mhm.
versus children whose fathers were absent.
Mhm.
The destructive nature of the father being absent was
Mhm.
actually worse than the kids who were abused. Like having a father there abusing them,
Mhm.
sometimes in a lot of cases was not as bad as a father not being there at all.
Right.
And I think this is important because I think that there are a lot of fathers who think just because they're at the house
Right.
that's them being present, that's them leading. And I know I've been so guilty of this over and over. My wife can attest to this, where I'm like home, I'm there, but I'm not there, right? Like I'm not actually present.
Right.
You're talking to me, my wife's
Right.
talking to me, my kids are talking to me, but
Right.
my mind is somewhere else.
Mhm.
And then you get into spiritually leading,
Mhm.
and you think of like, again, I think a family, it's a team thing, it's a together thing. But the idea of a man who is like, I'm willing to pray, I'm willing to prophesy, I'm willing to speak in these people's lives, I'm willing to lead in generosity.
Mhm.
I love too that so often, and I've done this where I was just nagging him to lead. And I love that your wife fasted and
Mm.
prayed with
Dang, yeah,
other
that's
people
powerful.
and brought other people into it and like just kept praying and loving you rather than nagging you,
Yeah.
because you can't nag a husband into leading you spiritually. Like, and same for me, like once I started really praying, that's
Mhm.
when things shifted. I would pray
Yeah.
with his mom too.
Right.
Yeah, we would
Yeah.
just pray for
Wow.
I love that.
Yeah, it's
part of
like
the
trusting
testimony
God to be
too.
the one to provoke the change
Yeah.
rather than thinking that
Yeah.
you can just like force a husband into that. So I
Mhm.
think this is maybe two parts. Like for husbands watching, for men who might be watching this, knowing
Mhm.
like there is a role that you might have to be stepping up in, right? There's a place you might have to be stepping up. And for wives who see that in their husbands, maybe to be like, stop just telling your husband to change
Yeah.
and start praying and believing.
Yep.
And even like, I love that your wife was, even fasting for you, right?
That
'Cause
is huge.
we all know how much I love food, and fasting's a hard one for me.
Yeah.
But which is probably why I need to do it. It's
Yes,
like
yeah.
I love
Same.
food's too much of an idol for me to give it up. So
Sure.
I think that's the point of fasting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, no, I love that, man. I think that it's super powerful and super necessary to understand that. And I love also your vulnerability in like this came with a resistance,
No,
right?
lots.
I think a lot of times we hear these stories, these testimonies,
Mhm.
and it almost seems like it was this magic wand moment of I used to be this hard-hearted husband, and then God changed me, and it's like that was it. You just woke up one day not mad anymore, like. But I love your journey, the process of the frustration, the process of the questions, the process of the confusion.
And running away.
Yeah.
Just running from it. Anytime you said you start to feel the
I was
Holy
out.
Spirit like leaving.
Yeah.
That's so
Well, because it's not like an overnight thing. I think
Yeah.
again, that's the thing is like, and I always think of, we are so accustomed to this image of like a treasure hunt, and I think a lot of times of our journey with God is a treasure hunt, right? We're on this dotted line trying to get to the X, and I think the problem is that sometimes we're so focused on that X that we forget those dots on the way
man.
to that X. And that's really the only part God's concerned with, right? Is walking with us, because those mistakes and those failures along the way are the things that he wants to walk with us through. Those are the frustrations where we grow, where we become
Right.
more mature. And I think when we become so focused on, I just need to get here, we get frustrated, we fall and we stumble along that dotted line, and most people just give up, right?
Right.
And I think sometimes that X, unfortunately, is heaven. Like it's like Pilgrim's Progress, right?
Yeah,
A book
yeah.
that I've never read.
Right.
But I love the
I
story.
read too.
We've watched the movie, we've seen the
Yeah.
production, the stage production. But I think that the reality is it's that thing of this is a journey. This is
Yeah.
a path where we walk with Jesus.
Right.
And I think there's encouragement that comes from that, because so often we feel this need to change now. Everything's
Yeah.
about now. And God's like, dude, I just want to walk with you, man. Like, just slow down.
Right.
Just be mad. Are you mad? Just be mad.
Right.
I want to ask you, because I know I would love for everyone else to hear about like how Yapoa started and how that was birthed, because I think there is something to the obviously prayer and fasting, and that was even birthed out of prayer and fasting, right? Like I don't know if you want to touch on
Yeah,
like,
of
what you
course.
guys are doing now. And
Yeah, and so my wife, we always joke about it. She prayed for me for so long to wake up, and then I did, and it was the hardest year of our entire life.
Wow.
I was like, found this new passion, and they became the youth pastor, and there was so much resistance from the church and from my family, like pushed me away from it. But there was like this locked. I always joke that I'm a pit bull on a pork chop. It's like when I feel that God has given me something, it's like I'm in. Like I don't care what comes against me. I'm
Yeah.
in. And so there was a lot of resistance stepping into it, and I stepped in, and then it was just these kids needed so much. And I was at football games, basketball games, cheerleading things, swim events, coffees, and it was just every day. And the youth group was exploding, and so we didn't have room, and the church was very supportive, and so they gave us a budget, and I went in and I was building a youth center inside of this church, and building things well out of my skill level, and hanging things and hanging from rafters and all those fun things. And I went after it, but I was there like morning and night, and my wife just needed me. And it was really, 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 really hard. And I met a youth pastor that saw what I was doing and saw I was tired, and ministry was going well. Kids were getting saved and things were happening. And he was like, pay attention. Like your ministry isn't these kids first.
Right.
Your ministry is home first.
Amen.
He's like, it can be missed. Like even like looking at like the legend Billy Graham as he runs after things, but as he runs and you look at his family and some things have happened, there was just an unbalanced thing that happened, and if you're not careful, it will cook you. And so it really helped me in that time realize I was off, but I was so much in. I was being pulled so many ways at a small church with no staff and limited budget, and so we're just constantly working. And at the end of the year, my wife and I, she felt like she didn't have a husband. I was gone all the time.
Wow.
And she was broken. And she's like, I prayed and fasted for this so long, and I want you to go back. You know, I want you back home. And I didn't know where to go. I'm like, you woke something up. Like, I'm awake now, and I feel like I got to go after this. These kids have to know it. And at the end of that year, the first time I fasted, it was when I became a pastor. And the second time I fasted, it was at the end of it. My wife and I did it, and I had the Yapoa vision. And when the Yapoa vision, I can go into that detail a little bit in a second, but that was the moment that God gave us the name Yapoa, Youth in Pursuit of Awakening. And I realized, like, I was at the time 29, 30 years old, I believe, and I was like, how did I go so long and be so deeply into the church that I missed all of the gospel? Like, it wasn't the checklist. It wasn't going to church. It wasn't if you represent a Baptist flag or a Presbyterian flag or Pentecostal or non-dom or whatever. It wasn't that. It was loving Jesus, having a relationship, walking with him, and what that means and the power that's in his name. What, like those scriptures you hear, and it's like, oh, that's what power in Jesus' name means. Like, oh, that's what it means when you say, come to me, I'll give you rest. And it's like clicked, but I'm like 30. Like, how did I so dense and I missed this?
Stubborn.
Oh man. So stepping into that, as Yapoa began, and I had this vision, I guess I can tell kind of the vision, what that was.
Yeah.
That fast kind of got us there, and I was down praying and fasting, going through a book called Draw the Circle. And that book made me aggravated. It was...
Every time God moves, Josh just gets mad.
Well,
Stop speaking, Lord.
It's challenging my mind
Yeah.
so much. And it's like I'm drawing a
it's true.
circle in my shop, and I'm down praying, and God's got a sense of humor. He does, because my mom, she's very prophetic and dreams all the time, functions in the spirit, really just a juggernaut in the faith. And she would always tell me she had a dream or a vision about me. I'm like, chill out. You ate past 9 o'clock, and this is called a dream, Mom. It doesn't mean it's all real. And so I'm down praying, and I see a vision. And I made fun of everybody who said they had visions, mainly because I was very ignorant. And I see Rob Dyrdek Fantasy Factory, and then I see Camp Woodward, which is like the most epic place for my personality and what I love to do. And then I see thousands of kids in a field worshiping God, playing on crazy pieces of equipment.
Yeah.
And then it's like I woke up. It was like I wasn't asleep, daydreaming, but it's so intense.
Yeah. And
And
now I'm the weird vision guy.
I was like, whoa. Like, okay, chill out. Don't tell anybody about this. You feel weird. Because the book, I felt like I was being manipulated by that crazy book.
Yeah.
All this stuff is from that book. And I'm like, man, I'm making this up. And
And real quick, just when you say feel like being manipulated, I think this is another thing where people get so afraid to lean into God moving in their life is because they have these preconceived ideas of what's happening. And so like we're we're like brainwashed to believe that the church has brainwashed us.
Oh yeah.
So anytime we start
Yeah.
like buying into what God has promised and we start
Mhm.
seeing him move,
Right.
we believe that somehow seeing him move is like a figment of our imagination,
Right.
and that the rest of culture is correct.
Right.
And I think this is just as you're saying this, it's making me laugh because it's like as God is literally proving himself to you,
Over and over.
you're questioning
Yeah.
the proof because you've almost become accustomed to thinking it's crazy.
Yeah.
When really
Right.
he's just trying to direct you
Right.
on where he wants
Yeah, yeah.
you to go and his plan for
Right.
your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Which
And
is
showing
really
up
good.
just like we ask.
Yeah.
We're like, God, make yourself real. And then he does it. And like, God, that's so fake. This is in my head.
This can't be. Yeah. I'm crazy. Yeah. Yeah. So then in my vision, I knew this piece of property. And I was like, man, this feels so weird. And so my wife is just like, we're praying around our youth building at the church, and because we're in a fast, and it's just the Spirit just keeps hitting me like, tell her. I'm like, man, I don't want to. I don't want to be that guy. It's like I don't want to. I'm not manipulating. I just feel crazy, and so I'm like, babe, listen, something happened, and let's just go to this piece of property. I saw a Sonic, and I know there's a property up here in this acreage, and we pull up, and I tell my wife, and we drive by a rainbow. She starts crying. I'm like,
Aw.
calm down. It's a rainbow. She's like, no, that's God's promise. I'm like, no, that's
Aw.
a rainbow. Just relax.
Yeah.
And she's like, why are you so uptight? And I'm like, because it's just a rainbow. And I'm like arguing that my wife's wrong, pulling in on autopilot, and I park in front of for sale sign at this property. I'm like, oh, crap. And so I tell her, and she's like, we're building a youth center. I'm like, you're nuts. Like, nuts. It's millions of dollars. We're
Yeah.
broke. We have $1,000 per year for our budget
Yeah.
for the kids. It's like, wow. She's like, then she's like running around praying on the land and throwing rocks and praying over rocks. I'm like, wow.
She's so awesome.
I was, but then that annoyance came in
Yeah.
because it's like, yeah, she's crazy. This is nuts. That's the property alone was $5.5 million. Wow. And I'm like, well, okay, this is dumb. Like, I'm done. I'm out. And I'll just kind of shut down. And so my wife gets home and she's like, this is so crazy. I'm like, is it? Like, what? What do we do? And so I was just like, just perplexed. I was like, well, I'm never putting God in the box again, so I'll pray. And again, a prayer fleece. I didn't know what that was, and I've heard the story all the time, and I began to lay down a prayer fleece. And, and I said, God,
Like I'm
listen,
having visions. I'm laying down fleeces. I am prophesying. I'm looking at rainbows. Like
weird
what?
stuff. This feels crazy.
I'm the Christian I've always hated.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Like, God was like, oh, you make fun of people with that? Wow. And
Yeah,
so,
for real.
Fleece,
That's right.
rainbows, visions.
So the fleece, I laid down and I said, God, listen, I won't run from you again. And if you want me to do this, you just got to do something for me. So, and I'll
Yeah.
lock in. Send a third party that has no clue about anything that's going on, and tell them to tell me to do this. I'll quit my job. I'll move my family. I will sacrifice anything and everything. Full send. If you do that. And in my mind, I'm like, this is my ripcord. This isn't happening.
Yeah.
No way. So I tell Aaron, I'm like, nah, I prayed about it. Nah,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
And God's like, finally, he's praying for impossible things. Now I can show up.
And so I'm just like, I felt like 1,000 bricks fell off my back. I'm like, oh, good, I'm away from that mess. And then shortly after that, a day or two later, I get a phone call from my mom. Before that, I don't think we've told many people this part. Aaron will probably love me telling this. Before this happened, it's like 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock maybe. My wife explodes out of bed. And she's just like, God, you're doing it. And she's like, God's moving. I'm like, what? What are you doing? Get to bed. It's like, God's doing something right now. And she's running around and praying. And I'm like, oh, man, I don't know what to do here. And so she's like fired up. And
The last phase in Weird Christian, by the way, is waking up early.
Oh, that's a very accurate statement. Yeah. And so I get a phone call 6:30 in the morning that morning from my mom. She's kind of like weirded out. Now, the backstory, I didn't tell anybody. For this dream to work, or this prayer fleece to work, I'm like, no one will know what I said. No one. Because there's no manipulation going to happen. And so my mom calls me and she's like, you need to get your wife and you need to sit down. I'm like, who's you okay? She's like, everything's okay. Just sit down. And I'm like, babe, stop being crazy. Come over here. And she says, put it on speaker and let's talk. It's like, a dude just came knocking on my door 6 o'clock in the morning and said, where is your son? This is the last place I saw him 15 years ago. And I have an urgent message for your son. And hands her a handwritten dream about Yaboa and what we're going through. And I remember thinking, like, that it just got real. Like, no way.
Yeah. Wow.
God threw down the gauntlet, like, ask, seek, knock. I've heard that scripture before, but have you? And I did, and he did.
Yeah.
And it was like, life will never be the same.
Wow, man.
We're in.
Yeah.
And
wow.
I just was melted. I felt like, this like spirit just, God telling me, like, hey, you said if you would, then if I would, then you would. So let's go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
man, I locked in, and it was like the beginning of the craziest adventure that you could ever imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
More than you can ask, dream, or imagine.
Yeah.
And these scriptures, it's like, as I'm telling you, as you hear them, when you actually experience them, like, it hits so much different.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's why, you know? And so my wife and I go start telling everybody, and we're like, oh, this is what God did. And the wise counsel would say, hey, listen, God's going to do it. But it's going to take time. I'm like, no, listen, no, chill out. We had a dream, a vision. A dude showed up at the door.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I just got to get a check. Like, you have a check? Like, where's the, like, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
someone's giving me money, and this is going to happen. I reached out to Rob Dyrdek and all these other people and, like, sent messages and nothing. And then I met with the who's who of anybody that had money or means and resources and told the dream, and nothing. And it's just
Wow.
like, but I had a dream. Right?
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
what's going on. And
Yeah.
so in faith, we took out, I baptized a girl, and she was connected to this big engineering firm, and they heard about our dreams and vision, and they designed us this like $60,000, $75,000 worth of renderings. It was
Wow.
it was amazing. And so I'm like, oh, this is it. This is it. And I'm showing the kids, all the youth group, this stuff, and everyone's getting fired up. And a year passes, nothing. 2 years pass, nothing. I'm just like, what in the world is happening? And then it began to kind of grow in the sense of God began to pull me away from my church. I'm like, God, this youth group is taking off, and kids are giving a life. Like, doesn't make any sense. And I won't go into the full story about how that came to pass, but in 2016, we stepped out of our church, and it was one of the toughest things I've ever gone through.
Yeah.
Kids were just broken. And it's like, God, really? You're going to take me away from all this? But he took us out for like a full-time Yapoa. And so I did, and really began to kind of go into this like burying season almost. Like the seed is on schedule at Furtick is one of the messages that the girl from my youth group reached out to me in the season, because I was just so confused. Like, one of the darkest moments, or the hardest moments hit, I think it was year 5 of the journey after we stepped out and began to try to figure out what to do, and mobile ministry, which was tough. I was traveling and setting up portable skate parks and throwing a party for community centers and churches and schools. Man, it backbreaking work, and I'm getting exhausted. And it was rewarding, but it was just like, this isn't what I saw. Like, God, he showed me this building, and it's nuts. And I'm in a trailer with drifter trikes and wooden features. Like, there's more to this. And so as I went through those motions and God began to get a hold of me, the seed is on schedule, going down this moment of like burying and dying to what I believed God was going to do. And he began to like shape me. And then I ended up at this new church that I absolutely love. And the first service I go into, the pastor says, he's like, anytime God gives you a vision, I'm like, oh, listen. He's like, you've got to learn to take your hands off of it so it doesn't hurt as bad when he pries your fingers off. And I was like,
oh, wow.
Oh, what do you mean? Prime fingers? And I'm thinking, like, am I nuts? You showed me this vision. And then I went with this Donald Trump of the area type person, this very loaded, very rich individual that had property and real estate everywhere, and very smart businessman. And this was it. This was going to be
Yeah.
the moment. So I'm all prayed up, I'm fasting, pressing in. I get there and we sit down. There's mahogany everywhere, mini leather-bound books, like
Mahogany everywhere.
And we sit down. He's like, all right, what do you got? And I tell him the vision. He's like, okay. But you didn't answer me. What do you have? What do I have? Yeah, your assets. What do you have? $1,000 trailer, one wheel, and maybe $200 or $300 worth of padding and equipment. Okay, nothing. You have nothing. What about your board?
So
Who's on
nothing.
your board? I'm bored. You don't have a board? No, I don't have a board.
I mean, I have a wife and kids.
Right.
So do they count as anything?
It's like, no, but I have a dream. I had a dream. He's like,
Yeah.
I hear that. I appreciate that. But you have nothing. You're doing nothing. And he's like, I got to go handle a phone call. And leaves me in the office. And there's just this giant conference table, me sitting there like, I have nothing. Huh. He doesn't come back. He's a good dude. If you're listening, you're an awesome dude. You helped me a lot. He is a really good dude. He got busy and got distracted. And I'm just sitting there it felt like an eternity. I'm just like, what am I doing? It's been 5 years. There hasn't been a single donation. Not one. Nothing. Like, all right, well, maybe I made this whole thing up. I don't know what to do. And so just perplexed. And so anyway, I tell my wife and I'm like, babe, I don't know. Like, what are we doing? We're seeing the mobile ministry take off and things are happening. A couple hundred kids and we're a party in the box and we don't have money for vehicles. I'm hauling an Escalade donated to me. So there was a donation I overlooked, but there was an Escalade given to me, and my trailer was so heavy it would pick up the front of the Escalade, and it was air assist, so it was like, and I'm like, no one can ride in here with me because I'm gonna die. Right? And so that night, I'll never forget it. Minio just released the song "I Ain't Done," and he talks about what he was going through. He was talking about, he's like, I feel washed up and I feel like I was done. He's like, but then the melody hit and I can't even give it justice. I did love that song. It was like, but as long as I got breath in my lungs, I ain't done. It's like, that's it.
Yeah.
If I'm 70 years old and we just get our first half pipe built, I'm going to break every bone in my body, but I'm hitting that half pipe.
Yeah.
Right? I am going on the wakeboard cable park when we get it. I'm going to send it on every piece of
Yeah.
equipment. I told Aaron, I'm like, hey, babe, might be tough, but nothing's changed.
Yeah.
Although feels like we're going insane and nothing's happening. Nothing's changed.
Yeah.
And it was just that night that I locked in to go after it with everything in me.
Yeah.
And shortly after that, we began to look at property and really cool moment. I mean, I got tons of them, and I'm sure how much time we got to go through all, but one of the most critical moments that helped this process is like when I locked in, I went to this like prophetic conference, which for me to go to prophetic conference, the dude that I was, this was a place that I would never, ever be at. Like standing up when a dude reading your mail, I'm like, come on, bro. Like you got a mic in your, something in your ear and you're talking to people. So critical and skeptical. And so mobile ministry's popping and it's going great. I'm locked in. I got a new like energy and stuff. And my wife did it again. She's like, well, God's telling us we're going to stop our mobile ministry and begin to build our building. And I was like, oh. And one of our elders told us, or one of our board members said, you will build your ministry before you build your building. I didn't want to hear that. And so we go to this conference, and my wife's like, we're canceling all the events. We have the whole year like booked out, and it was 2020 and 2019. And it's the end of the year. And so I'm like, all right, well, God, I need you to confirm. If you're going to switch gears again and we're going to, all the stuff we've already got going, you're going to cancel it. I need you to do it for me. Let me know. Like, can you just have the guy call me from stage or something, right? Just anything to let me know. So we get to the conference and it's over. I'm like, well, nothing happened. He's like, and the guy's like, oh, wait. Sit back down. We're like, okay. He's like, someone in here needs to buy land and build a building. Who is that? And I look at my wife like, no way. So I stood up. My wife stood up. Like, yep. And he starts just prophesying over us. And then this sweet little lady gives me $20 from behind me. This is for your building. Thank you so much.
I love the faith of the old lady. Just $20.
I still have that 20 in a book somewhere.
That's awesome.
And we started going, and then we cancel our stuff, and now this is right before COVID hits. So we cancel our events. A friend of mine that played in a European basketball league overseas, we've been trying to connect for the better part of 6 months to a year. And he was connected to a pro athlete that he's very good friends with. And so finally on a Wednesday night, he cornered me. He's like, tomorrow morning we're doing breakfast. We're doing breakfast tomorrow morning. I was like, okay, great. We'll do breakfast. We'll finally get it done. And so I get to go breakfast with him, and I show up, and he's got his phone, an earbud. He hands me an earbud. He's like, I'm like, what's up? He's like, you won't believe what just happened. So this guy's playing, I think he was playing for Atlanta at the time, and he was at a game in the NBA. And he just says that he got done with the basketball game, and he couldn't get my name out of his head and my ministry out of his head. I think I met him a year prior, maybe 2 years prior, and just kind of told the vision, and didn't have much to do. Is like, this is what God's done. And he's like, shook my hand, like, one day we'll stand in that building together. I was like, oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Well, then he was on the phone. He was like, hey, man, I couldn't get you off my mind. And never happens. I don't ever remember names, not to say like I don't remember you. He's like, but I remembered you and your name. And he was like, I want to let you know, like, you're going to build your ministry before you build your building. It's time to build your building.
Dang.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
Build my building. And he's like, yeah, go find me some property. It's like, what? So we go out looking for property, and we get a contract on a piece of property, and that falls through. And it's just like running in mud. And 2020, and then COVID hits. Wow. It's like, everything's closed down. I was like, well, thanks God for letting us cancel the events already. So that was nice. But now I'm trying to build property, and we end up, I'm just like 6 months goes by, 9 months goes by, a year goes by, nothing's working out, and we can't figure it out. And it's not working out with him being able to like really help us get fully funded into it. And so I didn't really know what to do. And so out of irritation, my wife was like, hey, we're driving home from Branson. And she's like, hey, did you see that property, that cattle barn? Like, that busted up cattle asbestos farm thing? I'm like, yeah, I saw it. What about it? She's like, that'd be a great place. I'm like, you kidding me? No, it wouldn't. $100K just to tear it all down. Like, I don't want that. And it's out of the middle of nowhere. And no way. Just stop it. Just quit this. She's like, something's up. So we go to church the next day. We're serving an event, and this person comes up to us. They're like, hey, we've been praying down this road for about 4 years for a youth venue, and we just thought about you. Do you know that cattle barn?
Oh my
Let's go.
And I'm like,
Wow.
stop.
Could it be any more
Stop.
obvious?
Stop. Well, I'm still
Yeah, I
fighting.
know.
I'm like, no. Go on. She talked to my wife. She's like, John, listen. I'm like, no. So
And
we
your
go
wife's
out.
like, yep. I feel like your whole life is a culmination of your wife and God being right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm
And
always
you
like,
just-
like, no clue, just walking behind them. And I can't believe I still do it. I'm like, she's like, we're gonna go pray, and I'm like, oh, whatever. I'm so annoyed. We go to this property, and we're walking around, which the building's about to collapse on us. Thought we're gonna die. Sorry for trespassing on God's property. We walked out there, and she's praying, and I'm like, God, please don't. No. This is like out of town. No one's coming out here. Like, this is awful. Don't want to be here. And we pray. I reluctantly prayed. And the next day I'm weed eating. And I'm like locked in weed eating. It's like I have my earbuds in. I have like glasses on. And I'm like trying to get my edge good. And this car is like pulling up next to me. I'm like, bro, come on. Like, and he's just real slow, and he's waving at me. I'm like, oh, take all it off. Like, what's up? He's like, hey, you need some property. I'm like, I do. He's like, Johnny Morris has some stuff down by the lake. And I'd like to present your mission to him. I'm like, oh, sweet. Yes. I called my buddy that was helping some land. I'm like, I found it, man. I don't know where it's at yet, but I found it. Like, this is it. And I have to go in and tell my wife, I was like, forget that stupid cattle barn. This is it.
The word of Johnny Morris.
That's right.
I mean, the man's got Bass Pro
That's
Shop. He
right.
clearly
This
hears from
yeah.
the Lord.
is it. This is it. I was so excited. Cloud 9. I got away from that stupid dairy barn. And weeks go by, and I see him again on the road, and I run him down. I'm like, hey, man, tell me about that property. He was like, you know what? I was wrong about where it's at. And Johnny doesn't own it. You know that dairy barn? And I was like,
This was Johnny Morbis, not Johnny Morris.
right.
Yeah, he got
Oh my goodness.
wrong Johnny.
so we get out there, and we get to the land. And they wanted way too much money for the land, and this piece of property behind us that was like for sale. So we get out on it. I'm like, I don't know what to do. we get out on it and we start looking at it, and they find out that we're a youth ministry, and they say no. I'm like, what do you mean no? Like, we're gonna do this for residential, and you bringing in a youth center here with all the loud noises and all the noisy kids and all the
kids
stuff.
in your fog
That's right.
machines.
The bass.
Base.
We can't have it here. And I'm like, you won't sell it? Like, we pay full sticker? Like, no, we won't sell it to you guys. I'm like, well, there goes that. I don't know what to do. And so there's a bunch of other variables. I'll highlight the cool ones, though. My son, we go to church, and he comes back. He's probably 9 at the time. And he's like, hey, Dad, I was in service today, and I saw this date in my head. I'm like, what is that, man? What do you think it is? He's like, it's this Saturday. He's 9. He's like, I think that's when they're going to give us the property. It's like, give it, yeah. He's like, let's fast and pray.
Aw.
I was like, I'm going to fast and pray. And I was like, oh, yeah, we should do that again. That seems to work.
Yeah.
And so I draw up a contract in faith, and on that week, and we begin to fast and pray. And that Saturday, I reached out to the guy. I'm like, can you please just meet with us and want to talk to you? They sold us the land that Saturday.
Wow.
And it was just this moment of, like, God, just trust me.
Yeah.
Like, I'll speak through your son because you're too dense. Like,
Yeah.
he would go right past it.
Wow.
And so right after that, it's like, okay, we got the land. Now we need money. Lots of it. $375,000 I need, like, now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, fast and pray. Let's do that again. So I get with my team, and on a Monday night with my leadership team, I was like, I know this person that's a philanthropist. I'm going to ask them for $100,000 that I want to take to be as a matching gift, and we'll get the money. And that Monday night, it's crazy. We begin to pray for this individual and asking it verbatim, saying to give him $100,000 to use as a matching gift that we would raise the money. Tuesday comes. I'm busy at work. Things are happening, and I get a phone call at 2 in the afternoon, and it's the philanthropist. And they said, hey, we understand you're buying some property. We'd like to give you $100,000
Wow.
as a matching gift. And I'm just like, really? Like, that fast? And it did. And within no time, I showed up at a Bible study and walked around with the ADGs. And, like, within 3 months, like, the land's paid for.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
Wow. And then
That's crazy.
I'm staking in the ground for, like, our Yapoa sign. And we put it in the ground, and then we have Let Us Worship. Sean Voight comes out, and thousands of people. And, like, and we get on the naughty list with the county because we, like, flooded the streets. I'm like, I didn't expect this.
I don't even know what we're
I don't know
doing.
what to do, but we're not right. And so, but God moved. And then after that, it's like, okay, I got this big field. Like, great. What am I going to do? I got to build ramps and features and dirt, and what do I do?
Yeah.
So Monday morning, we decided to fast and pray again. And I'm praying for a skid steer. And by noon, so 6 o'clock in the morning, start fasting and praying. And noon, I get a knock on my door. And this guy's like, yo, are you that skate ministry guy that's one wheels and things? I'm like, yeah, we are. He's like, why aren't you building tracks? I'm like, well, actually, we're praying and fasting for equipment to do that. Like maybe a skid steer. I think it's like maybe $100,000 or something. He's like, come by my office. So I go by his office. He gives me the keys to a brand new 265 skid steer.
Fun.
And I'm like, what do you mean? And I showed up with this, like, rickety trailer, like one leg's completely broken.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm just like, oh no, like I don't know what I've never hauled equipment
You
before.
need the skid steer to haul the trailer.
And I'm thinking he's like letting me use it. And he's like, no. This is yours. I'll borrow it from you if I ever need it. And dude, we've lived 12 years and that can go on for hours,
Yeah.
of stories after stories after stories of God's faithfulness
Wow.
to the moment with manna, like giving us what we need to pay a bill, or bringing people, literally, I'm up raking and someone comes flying off the highway and I'm praying for a truck and he comes flying off the highway, jumps out. It's like, what do you need? The Holy Spirit just hit me while I was driving by your property. You're praying for something. What do you need? And I'm like, wow, that's fast.
Yeah.
I was like, I need a truck. And he gives me his keys. I mean, it's just like the provision
Yeah.
and the supernatural things of God.
Yeah.
And that's what's so unique. And if you remember the first part of my story of this religion that I lived, I checked boxes and I walked through this powerless Christian faith, which unfortunately a lot of people in the church live in. of let me be in my comfortable box and don't push me outside of the zone, because
Yeah.
it's like, if I get out there, I don't know how that things function. And
Yeah.
God, I can't make that step because I don't know if you'll be there. And we
Yeah.
miss the whole concept
Yeah.
of faith.
Yeah.
And so what's unique about my story isn't, and don't get caught up in the shiny craziness or the name it, claim it garbage that
Yeah.
you can get caught up in.
Yeah.
It's just the faithfulness of the Father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says, if you partner with him, he will blow your mind more than
Yeah.
you can ask, dream, or imagine.
Yeah.
And so those dreams and the creativity that he's planted in you, I thought, like, I'm an adrenaline junkie of any sport. Like, if I
Yeah.
can taste adrenaline on a bungee cord or on
Same.
a bike or whatever I can touch, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
And God used that for ministry. Now that comes with shade, because like,
Right.
what, you need a $3,000 skateboard to save people? I'm like,
Right, of course.
"Mm,
There's
no."
starving kids in Africa
I
who
get
could
it.
use that money. It is-
100%. And be
Yeah.
a good steward.
Right.
But also the best things of the kingdom are for the kingdom.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
for the world. Like,
Yeah.
it's not this poverty gospel.
Right.
And so God said, I'm going to shape this, and we forget who owns it all.
Yeah.
Right? It's not
Yeah.
like, oh, we're short on funds. It's like, who do you serve? And
Yeah.
it was this transition of me being an owner of everything in my life, but then still saying the words like, he owns it all, but I
Yeah.
still try to run it myself.
Yeah.
To transition to be like, all right, God, I'm a steward everything.
Yeah.
You're going to give me what I need. I trust you.
Yeah.
You're going to give me the money I need to build the vision. If I don't have it, then I'm going to steward well what I have now.
Yeah.
And this process of just like, God, you will show up when you need
Yeah.
me to move or buy or do things. But it's not this passive faith. It's not
Right.
this faith that's like, well, you'll just make it all happen.
Yeah.
And I'll just like, well, if you don't know, like the open and close door thing, policy that I lived in for the longest time. Well, God, open and close the doors I need to be open and closed.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my excuse to sit back and be like, well, if he wants me to do it, he'll tell me to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
lazy Christianity.
100%.
It's apathy. It's oh yeah, I could go on about that. There's so much of that, and
Yeah.
then you just
Yeah.
miss this wild adventure
Right.
where only God could get credit and glory. And
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
wants to be glorified in your life, but we don't even give him room to be glorified
Right.
because I love just the theme of fasting and praying in your story, and it's so encouraging. And Lisa Bevere recently, I watched a video. She was just talking about the importance of it and how
Mhm.
few Christians actually do that. And she was like, because we always have a plan B in America. Americans have a plan B. We can make it happen ourselves. We have so many resources,
Mhm.
so that's the last resort. But in other countries, like if they don't fast and pray, like
Right.
they're not going to eat that
Right,
day. Like
yeah.
they
Yeah.
are so fully relying on the Lord.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I think the other thing that's cool, and I think what this speaks to so much is like, we joked earlier, your story starts with this like, I'm a Christian now, so here are the behaviors, right? Your behavior. I don't do this. I don't listen to this music. I stopped doing this.
Right.
But your story really now has culminated to this thing of now it's what God is able to do. Like, it's funny how the beginning of your story, you talked so much of your attitude, your behavior, your stuff, and now it's led to what God does despite our own
Right.
doubt, our own failure. And I think it's because you've made room for him to move. You've been willing to do the weird stuff. And which, by the way, when you said how your kid prophesied, that is the last
So
phase of
good.
weird Christian person. Is when your kids start giving you
It's so
dreams.
good.
But this is what's amazing, and this is one of my favorite scriptures is, in the Bible it talks about, it says we are a peculiar people, right? And I think when we're willing to lean into the things that might seem strange or make us feel uncomfortable, when we make room for God, when we just start dreaming up these things and we genuinely ask, I feel like in your doubt that was there, you were still taking steps, and I think God saw you in those little steps, and I think over time your steps have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger as you believe for more. And again, the thing that I super love, and like what I would love to the world to understand is this is not just an overnight thing, right? Like we hear these testimonies in this condensed form, and yet this has been like sleepless nights and days of heartache. And you say some days, fasting, some days probably not even able to eat because you're like, what are we going to do about money? We have bills for this. We have all these things.
Yeah,
but,
like just desperation.
yeah,
yeah,
but this true trusting the Lord with all of these things. And I think there have been times in our lives where we've had moments where God shows up and does stuff and people are like, oh, you guys just have so much favor. And like, yes, it's true. And I love the acknowledgement of what God's done in our story and on our journey. But the thing is people often say, man, you have so much favor, as if this is something special to
Right,
us. This is something reserved for us.
Right.
And I think like what you're tapping into is the power of just opening your hands and being like, God, there's something more. I don't know what it is. I'm kind of confused and frustrated by it, but I'm going to be honest about that confusion and
Yeah.
frustration. I'm going to be honest about that doubt because something in me is saying that you want to move. And where most people would run from it, I feel like you've leaned into the scary stuff. You've leaned into the uncomfortable stuff, into the weirdy stuff that the rest of the world would see as being strange. And I think that's the thing that's powerful for people who believe, oh, well, that's cool for them. I can't believe that happened for them. God does that for them. There's something
Right.
special about them. And it's like, no, this is us. There is no verse in the Bible that's like, and God's reserved 100 people to do special things for everyone else. You're on your own. Like, it's just not the way that the Bible works. And it's just when you are willing to step out. And again, also it starts small, right? I mean, I don't think the point of this is everyone needs to go out and buy a big property and open up a park. Like,
Right.
I think the thing is, start small. Is it in your family? Is it your neighbor who just needs maybe a friend and you can like pay for their lunch one day? Maybe you can be generous. You're worried about your own finances, but maybe God's calling you to give, or God's calling you to give your time to something else, or He's given you a dream to build something, and yet He wants you to help take time to serve someone else's dream, right? I think it's those little steps that I think make this a little bit more palatable, because I think some people get overwhelmed. They're inspired by these things, but they forget that this applies to them too. This is not like, look at my life and what God's done. This is like, look at who God is. The same God that is in your living room. The same God is in your church, in your car. Everywhere you go, He's with you.
And it's a process, and you're always in process and development. And like, I'm sure there was a lot of failures. Like even just talking about the first year, how you had so much zeal and passion to reach the youth. There were no boundaries like in your marriage and your family then. So it's like not building a ministry at the cost of your family,
Yeah.
which is so important. But like all those things you've had to learn, all the hard things you've had to walk through. It's just it's not, you weren't here and now you're here. There's a whole process in between.
And it was fun because we talked about how much we love one wheeling. It's one of our favorite things to do. Obviously, that was just one of the huge things in connecting with you. Some people probably don't even know what a one wheel is. And I was just thinking as you were talking how much a lot of this journey actually relates to a one wheel. And I was actually kind of thinking this earlier about you before we stepped in here, just kind of like praying over what we would talk about, just your story and all these things. I feel like God kind of showed me this thing, and it's the more you're talking, the more I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I kind of wanted to draw this thing real quick. So for people who don't know what a one wheel is, in its rawest form, it's very basic, right? Like you have literally the board, right? And then you have one wheel. Hence the genius name of it. I just picture also when they're like naming the one wheel, I picture all these guys sitting in a room and a caveman walks and is like, one wheel. They're like, Grog just nailed it. And then there's the front foot sensor, the back pad, and then usually like a fender over it or something. And this is like very basic. It's very simple in nature, right? You look at this thing, it's a wheel and it's a board. And to me, I feel like this is a lot of like even what you saw as being your faith journey, what you saw as being Christianity. I believe in God. I go to church. I have a family. I do things to provide, and that's me. But when you look at like the actual brains of the one wheel, what's in that front foot sensor, right? What goes into this part that you step on, right? Is you're literally rolling along the ground, trusting that this thing is going to hold you up. The faith that it takes to get on this and know that it's not your own skill, right? It's not your own balance on the one wheel. You're trusting that board. And again, what looks like a board and a wheel, it's so much more complex when you actually step on the thing and when you let it ride. And I see that so much in you, bro, of like you looked at this thing, you looked at faith, you looked at Christianity, and you're like, yeah, cool, I'm doing that. Like, But when you actually step on and ride the thing and you realize how much is not in your own strength, it's just really beautiful to see God moving. Which, by the way, and we can talk about one wheels for a minute too, and I wanted to pull these up because one wheels, they're really fun to like customize and do different things. I don't know if I've ever showed you any of the ones that we've like made, because we love, with one wheels, you can customize one wheels, you can change out the fenders and the this is just me nerding out for a minute, but these are kind of fun. So this one, obviously we put the fender on. This is like our little spider glider, we call it. It's fun because we usually use like the vinyl cutter. This one, favorite show growing up is Kenan and Kel. This is the here goes with the Kenan and Kel thing. This one is Carrie's Dead to Sin. Alive in Christ, which we made, which is fun. This next one, just another cool little stencil, the Trinity thing on the top. This one's fun. This was actually the first one that I did, the little Jesus stencil on it.
We gave that one away.
I know, we did give that one away. And then this is my favorite. I made this one with Bodie from Float Life. You know Bodie.
Yeah.
So me and Bodie designed this one.
Wow.
The boys love Miles Morales, the Spider-Man, and so we made a little Miles Morales
Wow,
board.
that's awesome.
I thought we'd do something fun. Now that I've drawn this thing, you're gonna customize a one wheel, bro.
Dude, I have no artistic ability.
No, it's fine. We're just gonna like
bad, bro.
It doesn't go past kindergarten level.
Yeah,
but
real
you're good.
bad.
do me a favor. Go ahead and just like grab a marker, and I'm gonna make sure I don't look. 'Cause I want this to be a surprise to me. Go ahead and grab a marker,
Yep.
and then color some part of the one wheel, the fender, the tire.
The last time I colored it.
Being real adult like. Cool. And then you can go ahead and cap that whenever you're done.
So
Cool.
good at coloring.
Set that one aside.
Yep.
Grab another color another part, the foot pad, front or back, the rail, I don't even remember what's on there. We have like our own little one wheel design shop now. Josh is designing his own one wheel.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Throw that one aside then when you're done. Grab another color.
Okay.
Color another part.
Oh, the wheel.
Let's make-
So I've never seen this before. Got it.
Cool. How many more colors do you have?
2.
2 more? Grab another color another section of it.
Okay. Got it.
Cool. And then the last color the last part. Are you proud of it?
Oh, dude, it is. looks like a one wheel.
Can I look?
Got it.
Sweet. Can I look?
Yep.
Lovely. I'm
Yeah.
gonna take this to a
Dude,
children's.
so pretty. so pretty. Yeah.
Actually, this is crazy.
Yellow shredder.
The yellow shredder. So I hadn't designed a one wheel in a while, so I thought this
Yeah.
would be fun to let you make your own.
Yeah.
Wait, this is what you picked? That's
Mhm.
crazy. Wait a minute. Oh wait. I made one with the boys recently.
What the heck?
That's crazy, dude.
Oh my god.
Wow. Oh, Dusty.
Bruh.
Oh my.
That's a nice looking one wheel. Like how many one wheels are back there?
Dude. Forgot who I was sitting with.
Yeah, I know.
What the what?
'Cause
What just happened? And it's like spray painted. It's just like,
It's like, did you quick? When I was painting with my feet.
what was happening?
Just as you,
I knew you were doing something like, I'm going to mix this up.
Doesn't even smell like paint in here.
Wow.
this is the fun part of
The
doing
day in the life of Dustin TAVELLA.
Yeah.
now.
Makes my head hurt.
We, we just need
Thinking
to.
to myself, like, what did I do? How did I do that?
You did do it, by the way.
I did. Dude, I'm still confused.
We need to go and ride that one wheel too now.
That's right.
Oh.
We'll
Yeah.
take it to Yapoa.
Yeah.
But now that everyone knows what a one wheel is and how it
Yeah.
relates to your life, I'd love to like play a little thing and just kind of show people what
Yeah.
you've built now.
Yeah.
I mean, this thing that literally went from I'm never gonna be a pastor. I hate church and I hate people in the church.
Nope, I didn't like them.
To like now, all I do is pour into people
Mm-hmm.
through these with these crazy one wheels.
I got my. I got my whole city on my shoulders. Go hard for the whole culture. Keep going till it's all over. Keep going, never roll over. Keep cool, maintain composure. You hot, but my game colder. Ice veins in a rare polar. Holding bottles of some cold soda. Eat mine, never drop back. Never running, better stop that. It's go time, it's go time, it's go time. It's go time, it's go time, it's go time. It's go time, it's go time, it's go time. It's go time, it's go time.
Mine still hurts.
Painted
You
it.
like mind control me
Carrie's
on
like,
that one?
Carrie's like, look at the wheel. She's like, why? Who colors the tire? And I was like, I know, but it looks so.
Like, how did you? Oh. I thought to
never picked up
myself,
a
like,
one-wheeler
I would never color a yellow tire, but I was like, I'm coloring a tire yellow.
I just want to say the greatest
Wow.
magic trick right now was me picking up this one wheel while sitting down around the mic. You know how heavy these things are. If you've never picked up a one wheel, you should be really impressed
That is
with
me.
my
That's-
bodily strength.
That's right. Swole.
So real quick too, because I do. I actually have I have a card trick that I want to do for you while riding this one wheel at your park. So we'll do that too. But I do want to dive in just a little bit, and we don't have to go too crazy. But now you have this ministry, bro, and there are like you have youth coming out all the time. This thing went from like a barn place property that you didn't want to young kids flooding into this place. Sometimes just to learn how to ride, sometimes coming in as youth groups, sometimes coming in as families, sometimes just showing up for worship nights. And I just love how outside of the box this is, because I'm very big on, people think of their spiritual gifts being like, do I lead worship or do I preach? Because if not, I probably don't have a place in the church.
Yeah.
And what I've loved about the magic tricks and stuff like this is it's given me kind of this way to communicate the love of Jesus, or to just create an environment where people can feel loved and seen that is a little bit outside of the box. And sometimes you have to give yourself permission to do something that doesn't feel in the box. Like we feel so sometimes enslaved to that, the premise of church that's in our mind. And what I love is that you've created this one wheel park where we've, just heard amazing testimonies from you and from your wife. Some testimonies that are even crazier than the stuff we hear in a lot of churches, right? Which is wild. But again, I think it's that willingness for you guys to show up and to do the things God's called you to. So I'd love for you to just dive in a bit on what that looks like, walking with some of these young people, and then maybe like your favorite story from just a young person that's come into One Wheel and has just had their life kind of rocked unexpectedly because they came to ride this crazy machine that probably no one should be standing on ever to now like loving Jesus.
Yeah. At Yapoa, our team is not collectively one church, one denomination. Intentionally, what we did was we have different churches that we've supported in the past, same type. They know who we are, what we're about. Clearly, they know that the things of the Spirit, because my life's been rocked because of it, but I'm not going to shove it down in the sense of making you feel belittled or less or whatever.
Right,
and so I know your background. So what our structure is, if you are a part of our ministry, we ask that you are a part of your local church, that you are giving your money, you're giving your time first, and then out of the overflow after that, then we're available, right?
Amazing.
So
and this is your team. This is as far as your team.
like, and my staff. And so if there's a lot of people that are like, hey, I love what you're doing. I love adventure too. I'm like, well, what church do you go to? Are you actively a part of it? And we go down that road. So
That's cool.
Our goal is
Which is a frustration for you, honestly. I shouldn't say frustration. It's an inconvenience for you.
Inconvenience and frustration.
But to create health, which I think is like also one of those things that is just a mark of maturity where kingdom is first, which is which says this might not be the most easy way to do things, but if it's what's going to honor families, honor pastors, honor churches, honor communities, then I guess we'll just do what's inconvenient. And I love that. I think it's important.
If you go in that ownership mentality, not the steward mentality, you think about what you don't have and not what you do have, and you miss the perspective. But the whole point is that we want to bring in and we want to awaken, and then we want to equip, and then we want to send out. We don't want to get stuck in. I got really annoyed as a youth pastor that I throw this banging event. Like, if you're a youth pastor, you know how to throw a party, you know how to have a good time, right? And you can bring people in. That's what we do as youth pastors. We bring these young kids in. But every kid that would come in, we're all saved. And I'm like, let's do an event. Bring all your unsaved kids. There'd be tons of kids there, but they're kids from other churches. And I got so annoyed. I'm like, bring your unsaved kids here. And this just wasn't happening. And so the heart behind Yapoa is we want to be that place that maybe you are really angry church. Maybe there's been some things that happened to you in the thought of a church or a pastor, or you've seen things and you've had a misunderstanding of what church is. And I love the church, but I love the church for what the church is. The church isn't this building or this individual. And there's the reason why the church is broken, the reason why there's pain in the church is because we're in the church.
Right.
Right? There's no perfect church. Nobody's got it 100%
Right.
right.
Yeah.
And so showing them like, hey, we can be on a field, on a wakeboard cable park, on a one wheel, on a drifter trike, whatever. And we can still experience God in this
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that's ever a replacement for the church. I'm saying that you can experience God outside the four walls of the church.
Right.
But the goal is that you come in and the Spirit of God gets a hold of you and you realize that it's a relational God, not
Yeah.
this religion. And Jefferson Bethke is an amazing individual, and he did the legendary video of why I hate religion.
Oh
love
yeah, yeah,
Jesus.
yeah, yeah.
And I recently got to talk to him a little bit about that and what his life has done from that. It's been amazing. But that's really the pivot. Like
Yeah.
I began to say I hate the church, and now I really don't like even saying that anymore because I never hated the church. I hated
Right.
religion.
Right.
And religion has a very good, there's a structure, there's a form to it, and it can be a beautiful thing. But when it's manipulated, because the disgusting part about my testimony was I was a manipulator. I'm an operator, right? So in the sense of like, I know what you need to hear for me to be accepted by you, right?
Yeah.
I would wear the 116 shirt, or I would speak the right thing, or I would know the churchanese to fit in the situation, or I'd throw my hands up to worship because that girl is really hot and I want her to look at me.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And it was all about, it was this narcissistic gospel.
Yeah.
And so back to the structure of Yapoa is that we want people to fall in love with Jesus because he simply loves us and wants a relationship with us, and he's so gentle. He's not going to rip us through, force us to do things. He's not going to slam the door, or he does, but he's not going to open the doors so we don't have to take the steps. So there's this relationship that he wants, as you said, those dotted lines, that X. It's really, really cool when we hear about God's word. It's going to be amazing when we get to heaven.
Yeah.
But that's the end.
Right,
Like,
right,
The
right.
reason that the Bible is here and the gospel is here is because it's life here.
Yeah.
How to live now, not
Yeah.
just then.
Right.
And so religion teaches us to like get good, get your belt on, so you're not going to hell. And,
Well,
and
again,
then
the appearance and the behavior.
Just
And
for
what
that.
you're saying, what you're making room for is for people to be honest, for people to ask questions, to
Mm-hmm. Right.
have freedom to
Right.
lean into their struggle,
Yeah.
which I think is huge. And actually, Craig Rochelle released a book about the power of doubt, right? And
Yeah.
how like when we have doubt, most times we are told to get rid of that doubt, pretend it
Right.
doesn't exist. When really in actuality, when we have doubt and we lean in to find those answers, and
Right.
we create the right relationships to kind of lean into to help us navigate that journey. Doubt actually is the thing that thrusts us forward in our
Yeah.
relationship with
Yep.
Jesus if
Truth.
we let it, right?
Yeah.
And I think what's cool is that you're creating space that when a kid comes in and says, yo, I don't even know if I believe God.
Yeah.
I don't like church. I don't like this. And you're like, man, I hear that.
Yeah.
And like, you might be wrong in some ways you think. You might be genuinely hurt. Some of that pain might be like justified, right? Like,
Yeah.
but I think you give the person space and you say, let's talk through it. You're allowed to talk about that here. You're allowed to seek truth here. You're allowed to discover here.
Right.
You're allowed to express your anger here, because anger doesn't go away by pretending it doesn't exist,
Yeah.
right? Anger goes away by bringing it to the people of God who let you experience human emotion and process it. And I think that's what's so powerful about the culture that you've built there. And I think more than ever for young people, when they feel like they don't have a place to connect in the church because they don't look like the church, they don't dress
Right.
like the church. And I think of like what you experienced when you were young. I mean, it's like times a million now, man.
Right.
Like think
Yeah.
of like a lot of these kids who are growing up with like social media defines culture for them and defines even what church is for them in all the wrong ways.
Yeah.
So when all of a sudden someone says, come to church or be around these
Right.
people, and you're like, oh, you mean those like hateful, judgmental, that room where a bunch of people gather together
Right.
who all disagree with me
Yeah.
and think I'm small, and I ask one question and they're offended. Why would
Right.
I ever want to step into that space?
Yeah.
And what's beautiful is I think you're kind of like redefining that, not for what it's actually defined as, but
Yeah.
for how it's defined in their minds.
Yeah.
It's really, really beautiful, man.
Yeah. We partner with a bunch of different alternative schools and different places to just to be there for the kids that just need it the most. And
Yeah.
this alternative school came out, and of course, with these kids, they're just in difficult situations, and they have behavioral issues, and there's typically they talk about de-escalating every time they go somewhere because they get elevated, especially when things are active, things get elevated and are escalated, and so it becomes an issue. So of course, it's like we want those kids here. Let's bring them out.
Yeah.
And we know how God works, and God's a God of an adventure. He wants you to go out and get uncomfortable, and the one wheel is the kind of perfect platform. most people is like, oh, I'd break my arm. I'm like,
Yeah.
you could. There's a chance.
Yeah.
Any sport, any
But you also
board.
might have a lot of fun.
Right.
Yeah.
But it could change your life.
Yeah.
And so we had these kids come out, and this one dude, I call him Shredder. I don't even know his real name anymore. I just always call him Shredder. And he's just one of those kids that somehow, so we have all our boards turned down, and I think I stepped off a board and it was cranked up. And I turn around and he gets on the board and he just takes off. And it's just like his eyes, just like he's laughing and is like experiencing like snowboarding without a mountain or surfing without the ocean. And he's just
so
like
good.
in the middle of Ozark in a cattle field, just like having a blast. And he's flying around, laughter and just fun. It was just like, it's so light and so good. We didn't know any different because, I mean, that's what we do there. And one of the guys came up afterwards. He was the principal and he was like, this is crazy. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, that dude, Shredder, the most depressed kid I've ever met in my life.
Oh, man.
I've never seen him smile.
Oh.
Wow.
He never talks. He is miserable. Like, the Shredder, that dude right there that's laughing, zipping around, like having an absolute blast. He's like, yeah, that dude. And so it's just like, wow, that's awesome. It's like, wow, creating this place. And then we got to talk to them a little bit about the story. And a lot of them they've come back numerous times and they get to talk about how it was impactful. And it wasn't us. I'd always get caught up of like, I got to, almost Bible thump somebody. And you miss the concept of that the Holy Spirit works. You never save anybody. It's the overflow of your life that the Spirit gets on them and lives are changed. So in that moment, we didn't present the gospel. We just were talking about who God is. And the Spirit of God, and one of the requirements of our team is like, your butt better be in the Word. You better be pressed in because you might only have 2 seconds to be with someone.
Yeah.
And what's on you better hit them.
Yeah.
And what that better be is the Spirit of God.
Yeah.
And so we've seen it happen time and time again. And so they've come back numerous times. And I'm telling you, it's just one of the sweetest things to see these kids that are locked up and depressed and get them in a little adventure, get them uncomfortable and roll around, get dirty, play in the dirt, have a good time, run on the racetrack, jump in a muddy pond, whatever it might be. It was just a really, really cool adventure. And this past weekend, this guy comes in, his big smile, he's got his a girlfriend comes in, he's grinning, just cheesing ear to ear. He's like, you don't recognize me. I'm like, and I knew him. And it's one of those things like, dang it, I know what you know.
Yeah.
And I'm terrible with names. And he's like, what's my name? I'm like, I hate that question so bad. And I guessed, and it was Zechariah, and I said Jeremiah. And he's like, you got close. I'm like, oh, I can't believe that's rewarded. That you think that's good. I'm
You're
so
counting
sorry.
it.
Oh, that's good. But he's like,
got
you
the eye at
don't
the end.
realize. So one of our first ministries, the church reached out to us. We did this thing's called Wake Up Projects. We were there. And I started clicking who this kid was. And this was the first time we're deploying it. He gets on the one wheel with cowboy boots. If you're riding one wheels, you don't ride cowboy boots.
Yeah.
Right? It's not, it doesn't work with foot pad. It's just like, doesn't work. I'm not against cowboy boots. It doesn't work on a one wheel,
Dustin is.
right?
Anyways, that's
No, my son's got him and a cowboy hat, the whole thing. I'm figuring that out right now. But he's like, I was the guy with cowboy boots. I'm like, oh, and it clicked. And I remember connecting with him. He's like, you don't realize you radically changed my life. And he's like, look, and he pulls up a one. I bought one of these things because of you. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. He's like, no, like since that moment when you told what God did, my life has never been the same. And it was just like, it's like God is moving in this minute. And he was just like, he's 22 or so, and he was just pouring blessing over us. It was like, so you don't get to see that fruit in those moments of like, man, the X amount of kids showed up. We're preparing for this amount of kids, and you get caught up in numbers or performance of like feeling it not validated. But it was just this moment of like these things that we do and the effort that we're putting in. It's not about glorifying ourselves, but when you get the privilege and honor to see just the ripples that's happened after whatever season, if you're planting a seed or harvesting the seed or growing the seed, whatever it would be, that you get to see those kids walk out. But that's just one of countless stories that has been such a cool thing that one wheels. I mean, I was like, never in a million years thought that'd be it.
You know how much I love like playing, right? And childlikeness. And I say this a lot, but you look at a lot of people now as they are going through their own struggles. They need strength to overcome the things that they're dealing with. And we quote this so many times. We always say, the joy of the Lord is your strength. Joy of the Lord is your strength.
Yeah.
But when you look at like the context of that verse, and you know, it's this people that like they're trying to connect with God, and they're fasting, and they're mourning, and they're doing all the things because they're like, maybe we get closest to God if we can just, you know, strip ourselves of all of the pleasures of life and just be as like broken down as possible. That's how you get close to God, is through the suffering. And even though God uses suffering, but in that story, God's like, listen, guys, put your normal clothes back on. Like, go out to neighboring towns, invite them over, bring choice meats and sweet drinks, and throw a party because the joy of the Lord is your strength. Celebrating relationships, celebrating like the good taste of food. And that doesn't mean you make an idol out of it, right? We're not talking about gluttony and becoming alcoholic and all this. But I'm talking about like, when we get to a place of genuinely enjoying what God has given us, laughter, playing on a one wheel, right? Like going out playing a sport, whatever the thing is, there is something so spiritual about that. The Lord, like the Bible says, the joy of the Lord is your strength. Enjoying the gifts we've been given, the interest we've been given, it converts into strength. And you see, like that kid that you talked about, I love this story. If he's normally so depressed and he's so sad and he's so whatever, what was probably most shocking is that there have, I'm sure, been multiple people in his life pouring into him, trying to get rid of the depression, trying to get rid of the anxiety, trying to preach him out of sadness, right? Trying to, I mean, whatever. You try and like encourage someone out of sadness, and then you realize you provide a space for someone to enjoy life, to laugh. And that guard comes down and they become like little children. And then you go to that verse 2 that's like, you can't even inherit the kingdom unless you're willing to become like a child.
One of these,
And it's like, man, how valuable it is to create space where people can be like children, where grown adults can literally function and laugh like children. And man, I know I've said this a million times, but I just can't say enough. I think there's so much power in what you've created and what you've built. And, you know, we've brought some friends over there and brought Laser over there. Laser hopped on a one wheel. He's still alive. Live to tell about it.
Almost died.
Almost died. But seeing the way it like brings joy and laughter out of people, it's just it's beautiful, man. And I'm a kid at heart. I know you are too. And so it's just like, it's so fun to see that thing in action. So yeah, I think the next part of this is just, we're gonna do a magic trick for you on this one wheel card trick.
Still, what the heck?